Hello, friends. It's a wonderful Wednesday afternoon. It's May Day. And as I found out at Rotary this morning, this is also the day anymore. So I'm going to hopefully not be too grumpy as I chat with you a little bit. Now, if you follow me, you know that every year before the big National Association of Realtors meetings, I always do a pack-in video and I give you all my tips and tricks for how you can have really successful meetings when you're going to hang out with your fellow connected professional realtors. And as you may be aware, and you're probably feeling it too, I'm not really in the mood to go travel to a realtor meeting this year. Not going to lie to y'all, because this has been just a whirlwind since we had the hammer come down on organized real estate. And that's just the first tap of the hammer. There's more to come. Now, if you are coming to the mid-year meetings, you're probably thinking they're called the legislative meetings. Well, the old guard, we call them mid-year because that's what it used to be called. So now you are in the inside scoop. Hey, what's up? And so if you want to watch my past packing videos, they are in the description of this video. I will give you all the things you need to know about survival for a week in Washington, D.C. And the only thing I would add is that we are all aware that Washington, D.C. is not as safe as it used to be. So the thing I would add to my tips for survival in D.C. is always walk with a friend, y'all, wherever you go this year and beyond. The place where our meetings take place is in a fairly well-kept part of D.C., but there are no guarantees in 20 and 24. So if you're going outside, take a friend. And if you plan to stay active, we have a wonderful group of realtors that loves to run, loves to walk. That's a separate Facebook group. It's called Realtor Runners and Walkers. If you want to join that group, I have added another admin because the scammers are all up on it. You can reach out in there and find a friend. We meet in the lobby. We'll go run and walk. I just will say it again. You don't need to go by yourself in Washington, D.C. these days. Now, that being said, you might be thinking, well, Lee Brown, why don't you want to go to mid-year? Well, I'll be honest with y'all if I can, a little bit transparent these days. A year ago, so in May of 20 and 23, can we just look at what's happened in real estate in the last 12 months since we were in DC? My cat knows. Good job, Sonic. You got a puffball. Good job. You have to congratulate cats for that. So what we had a year ago was a president that had not resigned over sexual harassment scandals. We had a president-elect who was in the regular president-elect role. We had an election. We were being told nonstop that the lawsuits were winnable and that we were on the right side of things. And I still think we're on the right side of things. But a year ago, we were told we were going to win. I'm still very frustrated about the fact that not once were we presented with the ways to be prepared for the whirlwind that we find ourselves in right now. And you can come at me with all the excuses and all of the reasons why we were not prepared, but I just don't cotton to that, to be quite honest. So anyway, a year ago, I was an applicant to become your first vice president, but then since the meetings last year, I was taken off the list for contention and not allowed to be on the ballot. So when you go to the board of directors meeting a week from tomorrow, you do not have a choice when it comes to first vice president. Now, I'm not upset about that. I'm frankly very glad. And I know that the reason I was not put on the ballot, well, the reasons given were quite invalid and quite a mess. That being said, I'm grateful to not be in the lineup for leadership right now because it's allowed me the freedom to speak and the freedom to be available to you in a way that I could not probably have done as a candidate, which is a whole different conversation that we could have in the lobby of the Marriott next week. So I want you to know this. You have one choice for first vice president. Very nice lady. You don't have a choice though. It's not, but this girl's not upset. All right. Now, I did think I was going to be prepping to go to this mid-year prepared for an eligible candidates forum. I did think I was going to be looking to earn the votes of the directors, and that's not the case. But what I want you to know, if you're watching this, is that the way the National Association of Realtors is structured is that you, the members, do not have a voice in your leadership. The directors have a vote, but the directors have very little power as well. For every time I have seen somebody frustrated about what's happening in organized real estate, and I will watch people who shall remain nameless comment back, talk to your directors, you should know your directors have very little power. And even if they had the ability to make a decision, in our organization right now, we have many, many directors that will not use their voice. They are quiet. They are afraid. They are afraid of being canceled, and they are afraid of losing their committee assignments. It does not make them bad people. It does not make them less than intelligent. But what I will say is this: you who are watching this video have to stop waiting on your own significance to occur before you do or say something. You are already significant. By being a professional realtor, you have significance, even if this organization does not recognize that. I recognize that. As you're not eligible, not a candidate, a lady in the lobby of the Marriott, you are going to see me. No, Ken, it's tucked behind my ear because it's too long. You're going to see me in the lobby at the Marriott. That's where I will be hanging out most of next week between Monday and Wednesday, because I just want to see you. The reason I'm going to DC is to see you, the members, and hear what's happening in your market so that together we can think about the best ways forward so that we can serve the consumer public, so that we can figure out how to fight for home ownership, so that we can, oh, Haley and, oh, honey, a whole bunch of us are aware of the 2030 agenda, the WEF, and we're aware of the you will own nothing and be happy underpinning that is going on, that is driving most of these lawsuits. Absolutely. And many of us are having these conversations. They just don't tend to happen in your top levels at the National Association of Realtors. There's lots of reasons for that. I am certainly not a lawyer. I certainly don't have those decision-making capability. Well, I have capability, but not the authority. But I refuse to believe that I'm insignificant. I may have been blocked from the ballot, but this is still my organization. And I got to tell y'all that the more I thought about not showing up because I'm frustrated and because I'm busy, the more I realized I have to show up, because real estate matters to me, and you, the members, matter to me. And the ability for the American public to buy and sell real estate without a hedge fund interfering, without the government doing price controls on what realtors can and can't charge, that matters to me. And I'm not done fighting, and you can't be done fighting either. Okay? So what I want you to be aware of is that if you have the ability to come to DC, you should come to these meetings. Now, if you're coming for the first time, I want you to know a couple of things in advance. The first one is you need good walking shoes. And if you are determined to be cute and wear cute shoes, then get a string bag that will hold your comfortable shoes, because there's a lot of walking to and from the meetings. Now, there's an app you can download. It's called NAR Realtors Legislative Meetings 2024. If you search in the Apple Store, just look for NAR Legislative 24. I don't have the foggiest idea what you do if you're on a Droid, so good luck. Now, what you'll find in here is the ability to set your schedule. Oh, and for the record, if you did not register for the meetings and you're on the East Coast, or you've got an inexpensive flight to get there, you can come on Amtrak, drive up. There's no registration fee for these meetings. There are hotel costs, but there are plenty of affordable areas in and around where the convention takes place. Plus, Airbnbs are very strong in DC. And if you ask on the interwebs, you will probably find a realtor that will take a roommate. Now, when you get the app downloaded here, you can see that there's a schedule you can set for yourself. So let me tell you some of the things that you would like to go to when you're at the Realtors Legislative meetings. Oh, yeah, that's right. Most of them are not in the app. One of the main reasons I'm going this year is because I want to be at the RPAC Hall of Fame ceremony on Monday night. As the immediate past president for North Carolina Realtors, I will be there to see my North Carolina Realtors who have achieved this level of commitment. I want to cheer for them and try and take pictures, although the ceremony has so many people in it, it goes quickly, it's hard to catch a picture, but I want to be there to hug the necks of those who continue to show their commitment to the profession. That's one of the reasons I'm going. Now, when you're in the app, you will see lots of things that look interesting to you. What you want to do is click on the committee you might want to visit and look at the top and see if you're able to go. Now, this one says closed meeting. You can't go to a closed meeting, so don't go and pitch a fit and make yourself look the fool. Now, what you can do is find something you could go to. Oh, if you have your CRS designation, There are simultaneous events for CRS. You get to vote for your leadership. You have 2 candidates for first vice president for CRS. And if you want to know who my candidate of choice is, you can message me. I'm not going to do this video as an endorsement platform. You also have a contested race for board of directors, same thing. And the reception's great. You can get education over there as well. Women's Council will also have a simultaneous council. They have great education. Olivia does a killer job getting speakers lined up. And before you ask, no, I'm not speaking at midyear. I was not asked. Are you serious? Nobody was asking me to speak. Okay, so let's look at some of the other things you may want to visit. Let's just say you're wanting to know how the realtors are going to pay this $400+ million fine that's been agreed upon in the proposed settlement, and you want to go to the finance committee. You're going to find out it's a closed meeting, so you can't go. But there's a treasurer's forum. I will tell y'all, it's a little frustrating to me how many people don't go to the treasurer's forum and then have questions about the finances. Go to the treasurer's forum and ask. Greg Krabcheck, your treasurer, will answer your questions, and he will have John Pierpoint with him. They can answer your questions. Go ask. If you're on the board, that's one of the few things the board is charged with is the budget and numbers. So you should go to the treasurer's forum and ask. And before you ask this question, I've already asked. No, the board of directors does not have to affirm the proposed settlement. That's all handled by the leadership team. And if you're wondering why the board doesn't have a voice, it's because the board voted away their voice a couple of years ago. So that is what it is at this point. Unless the board decides by a 2/3 vote to do something different, you are a figurehead on the board. Now, you should also know that in your schedule, you will have a lot of opportunities to go to things in your specialty. If you're an appraiser, you can go to the appraiser meetings. Commercial, you can go to your commercial meetings. Lots and lots of ways to get yourself involved. You can also hear a lot of political analysts, because you should know that being in DC and being in an election year, you will have a lot of political viewpoints put on stage. You're going to have Republican viewpoints. You will have Democratic viewpoints. And I'm not going to say that they're all the ones I would have asked to hear from, but we get who we get. And it's generally good to hear perspectives, especially if they're not on your side of the aisle, because that's one of our skills in real estate, is that we have an ability to talk to people about things that impact our entire community. You'll also find that whatever state you're in, there should be visits. We call them Hill visits, and that's with your elected officials. Some of you will get to meet with senators and congressmen and women. Some won't. It all depends on how your state approaches it. North Carolina has a very close relationship with our electeds in DC, so we have many meetings set up. If you want to go to those, you have to RSVP, because there's a whole set of protocols for the Capitol, and we want you to follow those. Now, if you want to go to the meetings with your elected officials, you can find out the talking points at flyin.realtor. So anybody that wants to can type in flyin.realtor and see our talking points. Here's what I'm going to tell you. If you see talking points that you don't think are strong enough and that you don't think match what's happening out there, that's even more reason for you to go to these meetings and make sure you have a relationship with your elected official. I'm very grateful for the relationships that I have on Capitol Hill, and they don't give me the right to scream and yell at any elected official. I want to know what's happening with their spouses and kids and at home, and how can I help them, and what information can I provide. I want you to look at these meetings as a chance to enhance relationships. And that's why you'll find me primarily in the lobby at the Marriott Marquis, because I told y'all I'm coming to DC to hang out with the members. And that is why that's going to be my home office, frankly, for the most of the week, is because I want to hear what's going on. And if you disagree with me about what I think, then come talk to me about it, and just don't be ugly. And we can get a lot done. But I will be at those meetings, even though it's not fun for me right now. I've just lost a congressional primary campaign, and I've seen and heard entirely too much, but that's another reason to be in the room. So I'm going to address this to all of the trolls who keep leaving me comments on YouTube and Instagram, and less on Facebook for whatever reason, but most of the trolls have ugly things to say. Keep saying, why am I paying dues to this organization? Why am I showing up? Why do I talk about the code of ethics? Listen, y'all, there's going to be a voice for real estate. There just is, because nature abhors a vacuum. It's not going to be this little upstart copycat association. And if you want to know why that's not gaining traction, it is because the leaders of that group, while obviously well-intentioned about real estate, have not been in the trenches with enough people to be able to build a groundswell. NAR, with all of its flaws and with all of its successes, it's not a perfect organization, never has been, but has done great work and is full of great people who are well-intentioned. So don't misunderstand me when I tell you I have critiques about the organization. I am not critiquing the individuals. I think we have to restructure for the best interests of the public and for the realtor professional for the future. That being said, you don't fix things from other organizations. You fix it from inside this one. So yes, I'm still a dues paying member. And yes, I have frustrations, but if I stop paying dues and go away, how am I going to make it better? I like making things better. That's what we do in real estate. We walk into a house that has issues and we provide solutions. And that's what I challenge you to do, is to show up at these meetings with a mindset for solutions. I know you're frustrated. I know you're scared. I know you're a little angry, but you've got to come to the table and look for solutions instead of looking to burn anything down. I will also tell you that if NAR does not exist, who do you think is going to fill that vacuum? It's not the Upstart Association. Do you think it's going to be Zillow? They would love to replace us. In fact, President Obama started going to Zillow for real estate information instead of NAR a decade ago. And we did not fight back to keep our voice in that space. A critical error? Absolutely. One that can be fixed? Absolutely. CoStar wants to take over everything related to real estate. And don't mistake them and think that they're really trying to build your business. Understand that when you see a company that gives you free stuff and wants to sell you leads at the same time while they simultaneously advertise to the hilt that they are going to have all the information that you, the realtors, have, don't let them have this space. Nobody's going to protect the American dream except for the realtors. And the American dream is under attack. It's under attack by BlackRock. It's under attack by State Street and Vanguard and private equity. And most importantly, and most astonishing to me, is it is under open attack by our current executive branch. If you did not see it, President Biden made remarks in Nevada that said, if realtors would reduce their commissions, the cost of housing would come down. That is a flawed argument. We have not caused, with our fees, the increase in the cost of housing. That's a supply and demand issue. Karine Jean-Pierre, the press secretary, the day after his comments in Nevada, referenced realtor commissions as junk fees. We are not junk fees. We charge a professional fee negotiated with the public. The public can say yes or no. This is why you have to be there. This is an openly hostile environment towards realtors and towards the public. And I want you to remember a fact that Dr. Lawrence Yun has reminded us of many, many times. And I think the numbers have actually moved due to the inflationary era and due to the cost of housing. But just remember that at retirement, the average renter has $6,000 in savings and the average homeowner has around $300,000. And yes, it's forced savings. And yes, it's in the form of their property, but they have something. And when we, the realtors, are in the way of what the institutional investors want, you have to realize that we're in the way of the American consumer having that kind of equity. I think it's cool. I think it's great when a first generation buyer gets in their first property. And so do you. If I talk to any realtor, that's where your heart is. Your heart's with your first timers. And so we have to get in there and say, we're not going anywhere. And we will make our organization stronger, person by person, grassroots by grassroots. And frankly, if I had my way, we would have a large body of realtors on the grass in front of the DOJ to say, you don't scare us. We're not going away. But I don't know how to do that, frankly, because I don't think I'm a revolutionary at heart, especially watching everything that's happening right now. So let me go back and tell you a couple of other things to be aware of. If you are a young professional, there is a ticketed event for young professionals. There is, frankly, event after event. I can't even tell you how much goes on here, but do go to the Trade Expo. It's totally worth it. That's where I found those European heels. Oh, she's great. So you can always find information. But the most important thing you can do is say hello to your fellow realtors. Make a friend from another market and talk about what's going well for you and find out what's going well for them. I'm super proud to be a North Carolina realtor. We're at the front of buyer agency. We introduced our agreements in the 90s. We've had it in the general statutes. We are great at transparent information with the public, and we're just going to get better. There's other states that are working on that. Go talk to any North Carolina realtor. Our staff is amazing, and they would love to help you, help your state move further along towards a more transparent environment. But y'all, we're going to have to make sure that we show up and tell our elected officials to get the DOJ's hands off our MLS. The biggest challenge we're going to see, I think, is that discrimination and boycotts could re-enter real estate by taking universal compensation out of our multiple listing service. And why did it get this far down the road? Do you really want me to have to tell you why it got this far down the road? It's because top producers didn't want to volunteer on MLS committees. It's because too many realtors said, I don't want to play in politics and I don't like this. And so when you don't play in politics, politics walks all over you. And for those of y'all that don't like partisan politics, well, honey, this is 2024 and everything is partisan. Everything is wildly divided. And you're going to have to pick a side right now. I'm picking the side of the realtors. I'm picking the side of my consumers. I'm picking the side of my agents. And I will do everything in my power to educate elected officials to understand why we're structured, how we're structured, and how we can be better for the consumer. That's why I'm going to DC. I've got to hear the conversations. I've got to be in the conversations. And frankly, I'm very grateful to be an outsider sometimes. And if you ever feel like an outsider, I'm just going to remind you of something. Sometimes you hear more on the outside and you have more impact than if you're handcuffed by somebody else's rules. Of course, we follow the rules of our state real estate commission. Of course, we follow the general statutes. And I know that the code of ethics does matter. And no, it does not make you ethical to be a realtor, but it means that you have publicly professed that you're willing to follow a code of ethics. This is the third year of our cycle, and we got to finish it up strong. So anyway, if I'll see you in DC, hit me in the comments. Make sure that you come see me in the lobby at the Marriott Marquis. If you want to go exercise with those of us that exercise, you can join us. And I will tell you that whether you like it or not, real estate is absolutely under attack on all fronts. I don't care what anybody tells you. This is not over. This is the first volley that we're going through right now. There will be more. And so the only way we make it through the rest of them is by being stronger together and by finally, y'all, being unafraid to use your voice. Speak up. Don't let somebody give you platitudes. Don't let them try to shut you down with their interpretation of parliamentary procedure. Speak up. Your voice matters. You don't have to be an elected director to matter. You don't have to be the president to matter. You already matter as a member in good standing. So if somebody tries to push you down, stand up and do it with a friend by your side. If you don't have one, well, that'll probably be me. I will see y'all in DC. I hope you can get yourself there. And if you can't get there, you can follow along on the live streams. There are definitely great things to find on the app so you can be up to speed. Don't stop